it really is about valuing your time. I mean, who has time to wait 2 weeks for a graphic designer they need for 5 hours? I mean, you need them today. So there's a few ways to value your time. I mean, one tip is during an interview process, ask the important questions up front. If you need someone that's available on weekends, make that one of your first questions. The last thing you want to do is talk to someone for 20 minutes, realize they're a perfect fit for everything, except for they can't do that one thing that's required for the job. So make sure you're prioritizing those questions. Feel free to cut off interviews early. When I hire someone, I have an onboarding document that they spend a few days. It's over 50 pages long. And yours obviously doesn't have to be that big. I spent years building this, but they go through it and I'm there to answer questions. My team's there to answer questions, but I'm not investing any of my time into it. I'll pay them for their time. I'd much rather give up money than my time. And at the end of it, we'll test them on it. And either they understand the stuff or they don't. And if they don't, we're respectful. We pay them. We go get someone else. And if they do, great. Now I'll start investing my time, my money into them because I know there's a higher chance of success.
And here we go, guys.
Good thing. Most people say, damn, he's got a process.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Process.
Damn, he's got a process.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to another episode of The Process. Today, I'm here with my friend Nathan, the owner of FreeUp, a badass platform where you can find freelancers, virtual assistants, US based, non-US based, really high quality people for amazing prices, guys. I know a lot of people, they ask me to hit me up and say, hey, Tash, where do I find someone that can make a ClickFunnels landing page? Where can I find my VA to do my appointment setting or do my sales scripts? Well, the answer is right here. Nathan, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and just take it over from here.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me. I became an entrepreneur almost by accident out of my college dorm room. I started off buying and selling people's textbooks, trying to make some extra side money. And that led me to Amazon. This was back in 2008, 2009. No one knew what Amazon was or what it was going to become. And I started doing trial and error, just experimenting. How do I sell products I was familiar with? Outdoors equipment, sporting supply, video games, everything that a college guy uses. And I just failed over and over and over. And it wasn't until I got out of my comfort zone and found the baby product niche that my business really started to take off. So if you can imagine me as a 20-year-old entrepreneur, single college guy selling millions of dollars worth of baby products on Amazon, that was me. And I had no idea what I was doing. My business was booming. I was learning on the go. And I had to start hiring people, right? So I make my first hire. I hire this kid in college. I posted an ad on Facebook. Guy replies, unbelievable hire. One of the hardest working people I've ever met. He's actually my business partner to this day on both companies. So I lucked out with my first hire. And I'm thinking hiring's easy. I post a job, people show up, and all of a sudden I make bad hire after bad hire after bad hire. And I quickly realized that I can't rely on college kids. No 30-year-old marketing expert wants to work for me anyway. So I had to start hiring remotely. And I got into the Upworks, the Fivers, and I got pretty good at it. I created a good hiring process, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but it just took forever. And I wanted a better, faster way. So that's when I had the idea of coming up with my own marketplace, a marketplace that vets thousands of applicants every week, takes the top 1% based on skill, attitude, communication, lets them in, makes them available quickly to clients around the world where speed is important, with 24/7 support on the back end and a no turnover guarantee. If someone quits for any reason, we cover all replacement costs and get them a new person right away. So that's what I've been working on for the past 3 years. And that's how I went from a broke college kid to starting 2 companies.
So what you're saying is instead of putting an application out there or putting like a job posting out there and getting flooded with 200 people reaching out to you, you're saying that's only about 3 or 4 qualified people?
We normally send one person unless the client wants multiple options and they ask for it, which we're happy to give them more than one. But our default is just one person because we're pretty good at it. It's almost like a Tinder for hiring where we introduce you to one person If you like them and you meet them and you interview them, great. Click hire and you're good to go. And if you don't, give us some feedback and we'll take that feedback and get you someone else. And sometimes when you get 3 or 4 people at the same time, it's tough to compare them. It's tough to figure out the fit, and going one by one can save you a lot of time as an entrepreneur.
Definitely. I feel like a lot of people suffer from overchoice. You just give them way too many options, and then because of that, they end up not taking an option, and you suffer because of that. So I love that philosophy, only sending one candidate at a time, a qualified candidate, so that way you're like, okay, I have this problem. Here's my solution. I'm going to move forward with that. If it doesn't work, I know that Nathan and FreeUp has my back, and I can move forward, with the second or third or however many it takes to get the job done. Now, when you say you guys guarantee a no turnover guarantee, how long does that last for? Is that like for a couple months? Is that for a year, or is that just rolling?
Yeah, it's rolling. I mean, our thing is you'll never pay for onboarding twice. So if you hire a VA in the Philippines and you work with them for 6 months and it took you 3 weeks to onboard them and they quit for you and they quit on you in 6 months, we'll cover the first 3 weeks of the next person. And if they quit in the middle of building you a website, we'll get you a developer and make sure that it doesn't cost you anything else, and we'll cover whatever it takes to get that person rolling and pick up where the last person left off.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, because I know that when you're working with someone remotely, it's very hard to find quality people that kind of like buys into your vision, and it's easy to have people come and go. So that right there makes people feel comfortable, and I know that I'm going to be using you guys.
Thank you. I mean, we've all had someone quit on them, right? It sucks. Turnover is expensive. It's part of the business, and I always wish that there was some kind of insurance for hiring people, and I've never heard of it before. But when I built FreeUp, I wanted to add that in.
That's awesome. Now I know a lot of people. It's using a service like this is usually because it's their first hire. They're usually at the point where, they haven't really scaled their business yet, and they're not necessarily good at hiring. They don't understand that hiring is an art form, and you have to pretty much pitch and sell the candidate almost as like you're selling a client. So any tips for those people out there making their first remote hires?
Yeah, it is an art, and I mean, we can provide you with a high-level person, and if you don't know what to do with them after the fact, it doesn't do much good. So we try to educate people on how to focus on their hiring process, how to set expectations after the hire, how to start a feedback loop, and we have a lot of great content on our blog and our YouTube. But my biggest tip is actually to do the opposite. I don't want to sell people on working for me. I almost want to scare them. And I think that scare isn't the right word, but I want to lay out how high our expectations are, what we're actually looking for, and how seriously we take everything from skill set to communication to attitude. And I say scare because if they're not the perfect fit, if they're not 100% sure that they're going to want to work with me long term and build that relationship and be a part of what we're doing and that they're going to excel at it, I would much rather that they back out up front before I spend my time, my energy, and my money into them. So my biggest tip is don't operate from a resource of need where you need this person. They need you. You have an opportunity for them. You need to present and set those expectations, and you only want to work with someone that can meet your expectations at the highest possible level.
Love it. Love it. I'll tell you, man, like, you want to make sure that, that when you're doing this, because when you're starting out, every dollar matters. Every single dollar, can push you over between that success threshold or setting you back and you failing. But more important, like, the more I talk to successful people and the more successful I become, I realize that, like, your time is so valuable that you have to guard your time. So dealing with the wrong person, that's going to kind of waste your time and set you back, there's opportunity loss that goes into that. So Nate, I love what you're doing. It's one person at a time. This person is qualified. You go ahead, you proceed with it. If for any reason at all that it's not working out, Nathan has freelancer number 2 keyed up, ready to go. This way the progress and the project doesn't suffer. And I don't know, I haven't found that anywhere else. So that's why I wanted you on the show. And I want my friends, my entrepreneur friends, to start using you, because it's project-based, guys. You don't have to invest $1,000 right off the bat. Like, you can take it slow, get really good at it, and kind of outsource, that work that isn't really the work that you should be outsourcing, right? It's kind of like if you want to make a certain amount per year, you divide that by 2,000. That's how many hours it is in a year, right? Something like that. Yeah, it is 2,000. And you say to yourself, okay, if I'm valued at $100 an hour, if this is a $5 an hour task, shouldn't I be outsourcing that? And you provide that to people. So, touche.
Thank you. Yeah, it really is about valuing your time. I mean, who has time to wait 2 weeks for a graphic designer they need for 5 hours? I mean, you need them today. So there's a few ways to value your time. I mean, one tip is during an interview process, ask the important questions up front. If you need someone that's available on weekends, make that one of your first questions. The last thing you want to do is talk to someone for 20 minutes, realize they're a perfect fit for everything, except for they can't do that one thing that's required for the job. So make sure you're prioritizing those questions. Feel free to cut off interviews early. When I hire someone, I have an onboarding document that they spend a few days. It's over 50 pages long. And yours obviously doesn't have to be that big. I spent years building this, but they go through it and I'm there to answer questions. My team's there to answer questions, but I'm not investing any of my time into it. I'll pay them for their time. I'd much rather give up money than my time. And at the end of it, we'll test them on it. And either they understand the stuff or they don't. And if they don't, we're respectful. We pay them. We go get someone else. And if they do, great. Now I'll start investing my time, my money into them because I know there's a higher chance of success.
So how are you finding these people?
I mean, we get thousands of applicants every week. It's very similar to how we find clients. I go on podcasts. I go on webinars. We have our referral program. We do on social media. We run Facebook ads. We have a blog. We have different partners and influencers that are constantly promoting us. So whenever you have a marketplace, there's always three parts of it. Well, in our case, it's getting clients, it's getting freelancers, and then it's the software that holds it all together. And it's a constant balancing act. Where do we invest our resources, the client side, the freelancer side, or the software?
Well, I got to say, Nathan, I'm a very picky person, and I tested you guys out. I was referred to you. I'm like, okay, this guy sounds interesting. I was a little bit hesitant, but we got on the phone, we spoke. I'm like, okay, sounds legit. Let me give it a try. And I actually got from one of the people I hired, they did an amazing job, number one. And number two, me just being me, I'm like, hey, so, how much do you charge per hour outside of this whole free up thing? And it's funny because they actually charge a higher amount outside of free up. And I'm like, why would they take a lower amount for Nathan and free up? And then it kind of dawned on me that, like-minded people enjoy working with like-minded people. So if you're saying that it's supposed to be the top percent of freelancers and then you're partnering with them with quality people that don't waste time, it makes sense. They want to get to people who know what they're doing. They don't want to go and maybe work with someone who their first time hiring someone off of like Fiverr and it's a messful situation. So, just wanted to share that and give you some kudos for that.
Yeah, and for the record, it's case by case. I mean, that's just hit that freelancer specific situation. I mean, freelancers, their prices go up and down. They usually go up over time, depending on how much better they get over time. And we have freelancers that charge more or less on different marketplaces, that depending on the season, depending on the client, depending on the task. So all that's subject to change. But yeah, I mean, it's not like we're taking a $10 an hour freelancer and charging you $70. We take our 15%. The market really determines everything else, and within reason, it's very similar to how they're offering their services elsewhere.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to?
Yeah, so if you go to freeup.com with 3 E's, my calendar is right at the top. You can book a free meeting with me. You can create a free client account, mention this podcast, get a $25 credit, and my team and I are there to help you throughout your hiring adventure.
Awesome, man. Well, Nathan, thank you so much. We appreciate you being on the process, and we'll definitely have you back later on for just more knowledge on hiring VAs and remote workers from my man Nathan.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay. I'm gonna stop the recording.